Hello everybody, Eric, HWC Automotive with another episode of You Never Know I'm going to be working on next. So here's a fine example. We've got a 78 Volkswagen Super Beetle fuel injection in the shop. This person took it to another shop and pretty much got, for lack of a better term, hosed. This is why customers come into an honest shop and are very standoffish, have their guard up because they don't know how they're going to be taken, and they hear horror stories, unfortunately, like this. So I'm going to start down here to the horror story of how much this customer has put into this vehicle so far that you see here with no body, engine on the stand. Are you ready for this? Yes, you see those numbers correctly. $61,850.55. Put into a vehicle that we had to take back apart. So let's go through this a little bit. Hey Doug, say hi Doug.
Hi Doug.
All right, so go all through this a little bit. Number one, why do we have the body off the frame?
Well, upon working on it yesterday, I was putting in the control arm in the front, sway bar, and I had looked underneath and I saw a gap between here, and noticed there was no body gasket.
So they didn't put the body gasket on.
This normally would go right here and all the way around the pan to keep water out and air and everything else.
Wasn't even there.
It wasn't even there, and the body was permanently mounted to continue with the painting or whatever they were doing to it. The other thing I noticed underneath, there's no seam sealer to seal the pan to the tunnel. I've got a list of all the things.
Well, tell us a little bit about this. You knew about this car before it went to the other shop.
The customer came to me a couple of years ago and asked me for just a paint job. It's a California car, so the paint was faded a little bit on it. Didn't look that bad. Maybe a new top and maybe some upholstery work on the seats.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I gave probably around like a $10,000 estimate, give or take. I guess we were busy at the shop I was at, and they took it somewhere else.
And that shop they took it to is in Northeast Ohio. We won't mention their name, but here we are sitting $61,000, and she pulled the vehicle from that company and brought it here, and we are disassembling it and just finding so much wrong. Number one, spent that much money and the transaxle was never cleaned, resealed, or anything. So here we are with a leaky transaxle, and this person has already put that much money into it.
And I'm assuming they had the body off the pan already, so they would have been able to take care of simple things like
Broken transmission mount.
broken transmission mount.
And it looks like it's got a cheap generic aftermarket starter on there.
It's not even a Volkswagen starter. The fuel lines are not Volkswagen. If you're going to do a resto, then you should use the correct parts and the correct.
Yeah, aren't they supposed to be like cloth braided?
Braided fuel line.
Yeah.
And it's fuel injection too, so it's a little bit of pressure, a little more pressure than what you would have on a standard fuel line hose. You need fuel injection hose.
All right, so that's one big problem we found on the chassis. So we pull the engine out because how much have you found wrong on the engine?
I got a list.
What was the first thing that prompted you to pull the engine?
Found this in a box with the rest of the parts.
What is that for?
This is for the thermostat and air flap control to control the airflow over the heads and cylinders.
It's basically a thermostat for the air-cooled engine.
And it mounts back here, which you really can't install with the cooling tin on the engine. But they had their mind set up that they weren't going to put it on because the thermostat's missing too.
What else did we find on this side of the engine? Which I was actually flabbergasted that the engine was in. Supposedly, all it needed was the wiring to make it run.
They had all intentions of making this run already. So we found this. Not bolted down.
This is exactly how we found it. We're not making this up. We didn't change it for the video. This is 100% how we found this. And why is that not bolted up?
It's not bolted up because it won't fit properly because this is the wrong style cooling tin. This is for a carbureted engine. This is a fuel injected engine.
What else did we find wrong here?
The injectors are in upside down because they plug in from the top. They have the non-VW fuel lines on here, and they're not even crimped.
So
it's a high pressure system.
So as soon as we pressurized the system, it could have blew the lines right off the injectors.
Pretty much.
What else have we found wrong in this engine so far?
Oh, what else did I find?
Well, we also found, one of our other guys here pointed out,
Yeah, with the wrong tin.
you can't even pull the dipstick out. So how are you going to check the oil?
Thermostat's missing. Cooling, the cooling tin doesn't fit, so nothing right here. They got all this stuff in here, which is gonna have to come off again to put the cooling tin over here on this side on the heads. It's just a mess. It's disgusting.
And then we were looking through the parts invoices of what was bought for the customer. And one of the things was said on there that a front disc conversion kit was purchased for this vehicle. So here's the original strut, original brakes. Here's what we found in the box. This is their supposable front disc conversion kit. It looks like a drum brake to me, doesn't it?
Yep.
So this is what makes it more difficult for a shop like us. We pride ourselves on showing and telling. We pride ourselves on explaining to the customer everything that we're doing and what's going on and why this needs replaced, why that needs replaced, why are we doing this. That way it shows the customer that they're getting everything for their money. And then we have a shop like this that charges this customer $61,000. We could have completely restored 2 Volkswagens for that much.
No, we could have done 4.
4 Volkswagens for that much.
Well, we got one here. And
Yeah, I mean, as you see, we work on Volkswagens.
And then they ordered wheels for the car. They wanted the correct wheels. That's the correct wheel. The wheels that they ordered were standard Beetle wheels.
Yeah, they're up in the storage
hubcaps,
with hubcaps. So
yeah.
it's the wrong wheels. So this is what makes it difficult for a shop like us, because we really have to prove ourselves because we get customers who are getting hosed, for a lack of a better term. So the moral of the story of this is be careful who you use. Make them show you, make them tell you why things need replaced. Why do we have to buy this part? We got boxes and boxes of parts for this car that it didn't need. I mean, enough to build another car.
They bought all the parts they didn't need, but didn't replace anything that was needed.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I mean, we got stainless steel brake lines on here. Why are we buying stainless steel brake lines? I mean, I get it, but this car's not going to see salt. It's not going to see snow.
And it's not going to be a showpiece. It's going to be a daily driver.
It's a daily driver. So this customer, brought it to us, very disappointed, very discouraged. And we hate, but we're giving these customers updates. Every time we find something wrong or find more that we have to do, we take pictures, we send it to the customer, we tell them what's going on, and we just got, not just about an hour ago, a text message from the customer, thank you for the honest updates.
And there's another fine example. The seat mounts were welded in crooked as well.
Yeah, and you can see this. They're not perfectly straight, so we might have to unweld these, move them, make them straight, and put them back in. That's just more labor for us. So, here's what we got. Be careful who you use for your shop. Again, make them show you what they're doing. Make them show you where your money is going. That way you don't unfortunately have to happen to you what happened to this customer. So like, subscribe, pay attention. You never know what we'll be working on next. And we will talk to everybody later. Anything else you want to add, Doug?
We are the VW specialist in the area now. Most of the shops, the owners have either passed away or retired. So I've got a few years behind me on VWs.
And we do have a partner that is buying a bunch of VW parts from different vendors. A gentleman that passed away at the Beetle Barn in Zanesville, Ohio, buying up all those parts.
This is one of the cars from the Beetle Barn right here. It's a 66 that we're doing as well.
So I said to like, subscribe a little ahead of time. So we have a bunch of Beetle parts. If you're looking for original NOS Beetle parts or the good stuff, we have a entire, I think it's a 22 by a 45 foot long storage unit full of Beetle parts.
And getting more.
And getting more. So if you need something Beetle and want something original, want something NOS, and don't want any of the cheap stuff that's being made today, contact us. You never know what we might have. So again, like, subscribe, keep an eye on us because you never know what we'll be working on next.
Say goodbye, Eric.
Bye, Eric. Say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
We'll talk to everybody later.